excited about this. Thank you. Welcome to the Community Wellness Committee. It's Wednesday, May 1st, May Day at 6 p.m. and we are here. I'm Katie Lopari-Shu, Council Member Ward 4, and I'm here. Luke Murphy from Ward 1 has not joined us yet. Bryce Wooden, are you here?
I'm here.
He's here. Awesome. Did you get a chance to take a look at the minutes
Yes.
from the March 6th meeting?
Yep.
All good? Any questions, comments, concerns?
No questions or concerns?
Okay, so we'll approve those by acclamation. So our representative from Bassett Hospital, Caitlin, who joined us last time, did mention that she was intending to come, but she's not here yet. So I think we'll just push that down. I'm interested to hear if she's done any like brainstorming and what more about kind of what they have going on in the community. I will just speak briefly on the hello, just kidding. Well, I'll do B and then I'll go back to A. So I did complete the letter to Excellus and WellNow that we had been working on, and I think maybe rather than taking red pen to it right here, maybe I will email it to you and Luke so that you can take a look at it, and then my plan basically would be to, at the report for community wellness, if it gets the approval from the committee, the report for community wellness on May 7th, just ask everyone to sign it, and then we can send that to, so I have it addressed to the CEO of Excellus and the Utica Regional President, and then also the CEO of WellNow Urgent Care. But then I was thinking we should also maybe CC just like some other like local leaders, and I know that the Department of Financial Services in the state has something to do with approving insurance rates and things like that, so I think it would be good to send it in as a public comment there as well. And so any other suggestions of places where we should send it, let me know. We'll do that.
Yeah, no, I think you mentioned this, but I think it was just also like either attaching like petitions or just some like whoever's comfortable, like personal stories
Like
of
testimonies?
residents. Do that just
I love that idea.
just to show like the personal
Yeah.
impact. I have no problem even writing.
Yeah.
You know, that's bias, writing one just for like personal family stuff that
Yeah.
it's impacted like my daughter in a way, and how we adjust and do medical care. So
Yeah, 100%. I would be happy to do that personally as well, because my son's pediatrician is in Albany, so we use urgent care a lot. I think that's a great idea, and I haven't actually begun to seek out any like personal testimonies, but I like that. So if you have any thoughts,
and I'll help you out, help with that.
Cool.
That piece.
Cool, thanks. All right, awesome. Residents. Okay, cool. It will be good, I think, to get that sent out and kind of off our agenda. Okay, so I'm going to double back. I just wanted to say hi to Caitlin, who has joined us again from Bassett Hospital. And we do have that as a topic on our agenda, just like Bassett Hospital, community involvement, connecting. And so I just wanted to open the floor to you for a second if there was anything that you had thought of since our last meeting that you maybe wanted to discuss. If not, that's okay too.
Not too much other than I've connected with our marketing and PR department, and I'm trying to get them to consider engaging as well, although they tend to have just a little bit less free time, especially something PR related going on. But yeah, you know, we are really going to be trying to do some fundraising around the Gender Wellness Center over at Susquehanna, so maybe there might be some opportunities, especially with some of the summer events coming up. You know, I participated not with my Bassett hat on, but with one of my other hats at the Earth Day Festival, and was thinking about kind of ways to be present at those types of events. So
Cool.
and also possibly so we're going to be participating in the Mohawk Valley Gives endeavor in September as well, so which will go towards helping initiatives here at Oneonta, specifically at Fox.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure out what that's going to look like as well. So, but we are really moving forward heavily with making some investments in the cancer center here at Oneonta at Fox Care Center. So that's going to be a big focus
as our regional healthcare center, that's really beneficial for us to know, I think.
And it's a huge need, you know, talk about, you know, community wellness in general, I mean, just across the network, but, you know, it's really centered here in Otsego County. We're seeing a increase year over year of 500 to 1,000 new cancer patients annually. So, yeah. So these are, you know, very important initiatives, and we have a lot, in addition to cancer care, we have a lot of, kind of, you know, programs that are run by, you know, cancer specialist social workers to help with, you know, people who are not only not able to afford medication, but also to be able to help them make their bills and to be able to eat, to have, you know, funds to actually go out and do something recreationally with their family in the area occasionally, which are all really important components of cancer care.
Yep. Yeah. That's awesome. And just like speaking as someone who's been through that, like even the people who are around the person who's, you know, fighting, you know, support with even just taking on, you know, because the person who is in treatment, is not able to sometimes be responsible for like paying their bills and things like that. So even just the functionality of like taking on a whole other person's set of responsibilities is really hard. Cool. Well, that's great, and that's something to give some thought to, because I
Yeah.
think that's, obviously that's like a really, you know, worthy cause in any way that we can support that. I mean, that number is staggering, 500 to 1,000 year over year, so,
Yeah.
any way that we can support that, I think we would be willing to.
Yeah, and that's growth year over year. I mean, we see
Right.
on average 34 to 40,000 individual cancer patients in the network, so it's,
Wow, I'm sorry, you said 35 to 40,000?
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, it's over 8 counties, but, you know, they all pretty much come to Otsego County because that's where our cancer center is.
Wow. That's a lot.
Unfortunately.
Okay, I'm sorry, Bryce, do you have any, comment, anything to say?
Just maybe for the end, Caitlin, if you're here, but if not, I'll message you for Bassett for a potential invite for an event in July.
Oh,
Just in
cool.
case we're doing a community event on Sunioyanis campus for our first year students. And I'll tell everybody, but everyone in this room is invited. But having community partners, even if it's like for 30 minutes or an hour, just say hi and just talk about anything that you want to share with the students, just so they know about it and connect. And I know a lot of our students might, especially with Bassett, a lot of our students are undecided coming in. So healthcare,
Yeah.
talking about Bassett could help, or just anything.
Absolutely, I'm sure I'd love to learn
So
more.
I'll send an
Yeah.
official invite, but it's just everyone in the room.
Yeah, no, that'd be great.
Thinking of you all.
Cool. Okay, so thank you for sharing all of that, and we'll continue to think about ways that we can be good partners to help support the work that Bassett is doing. Next on our agenda, we have the Community Narcan Initiative, and we have some representatives here, and I'm very delighted that you've come. And I will open the floor to you, and I'm very excited to just hear everything. You've been doing really great work in our community, in the room, you know. And so this is just, well, my intention of having you here to speak with us is obviously this is deeply rooted in community wellness, in the things that our community is struggling in many communities, and I just know that you've been doing this work, you know, out in the community, and I thought an update would be great, but I'm here for anything you want to give us.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you for having us. I appreciate it. So I'm Kathy Parati. I have been here for 2 years in Oneonta, and I am an RN with a master's degree and a nursing educator. I've taught nursing at NYU. So I've retired from the position as school nurse teacher in the Kingston City School District, but I'm still a nurse. So arriving in Oneonta as a nurse forever, arriving here revealed to me that the most urgent need, nursing-related need here at this time is the death by overdose, opiate overdose. So, I mean, there are many needs everywhere, but that seemed like the most urgent one, like first we save lives. So now that Narcan is available, which is, the generic term is naloxone, and it's widely available free of charge, although you can get it by paying for it at a drugstore. But here in Oneonta, you can get it for free anytime from the dispenser on Elm Street. Now that it's so available, there's a communication gap and a access gap. Many people don't know that they can have it, don't know how to use it, or there's a stigma, I should say, and there's a stigma about carrying it, about mounting it on your wall, about being a person who knows about it. So our purposes are not only to save lives, which is of course number one, but also to normalize it and destigmatize it, and make it widely available with the education that goes along. So what I did when I first got here and discovered this problem, which is widely known to be a nationwide problem, I figured I'd put together a team of different people who represent different components of the community. I approached Mark Drenick, who was all about it. He was fine right away. He said, yes, go, do what you're going to do. He already knew me because I'm on the Welcome to Oneonta. I'm the chair of the Welcome Committee, which is funny as a new person, but yeah. Anyway, so he had confidence in me, and I then approached Chris Witzenberg, who's chief of police, and both of the colleges, which both the presidents not only agreed but supported by giving us people. So at that time, we didn't know Lakeisha yet from SUNY, but we've gotten great people from both of the colleges. We got Diane Georgeson, who you will know from City Hall as well, and now Emma Papagni, and we have from Hardwick, Heidi Tanner and Gianna Boveri. I'm going to tell you who's on the team right now.
Okay.
We have Foothills, we have both Fordu and Leaf. I mean, it's like this super team of people who are all involved with substance abuse. Okay, me, Jeffrey Doyle of Foothills, Danielle Lister of Fordu, who is one of our trainers. She's one of the people, like if you say, and we've talked about that you want a training here, what I mean by a training is instead of just having the box on the wall, to have someone come and tell you exactly what to do, the way you would do AED CPR training. But the whole thing is just half an hour and it's a nose spray. So much of that time is questions. It doesn't take long, the training. Anyway, we'll get to that. So Jeffrey Doyle, Danielle Lister, Emma Papagni is also from SUNY, Julie Dostal of Leaf, Sarah Robinson, who's right here. Thank you for being here. Sarah is of both Leaf and our team and has a special role on our team, which I'll get to in a minute. Jeffrey Robinson, that's Sarah's husband, who's a constable for the town. Romas Bayoris, who's of Fordu and is another instructor. Jennifer Hill, who you would know from the Welcome Committee, but she's also with Tobacco-Free Communities, and she's also on the organization that is addressing innocent prisoners, people who are in jail. Yeah, she's with that, and she has one adopted, you know what I mean, one specific person. Sharon Bertuccio is a former probation officer who helps with setting up the actual trainings. David Lincoln is in charge of safety at SUNY. You better know him.
Yes.
Yeah, he's going to be retiring from SUNY and going to the comptroller's office, but he wants to stay on our Narcan team.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, Lakeisha Mason, I explained, is in charge of commuter, off-campus and commuter students from SUNY. I said Heidi Tanner, that's Health Ed at Hardwick. Gianna Boveri is also with Health Ed at Hardwick, and both Heidi and Gianna have done the training to be trainers. Heidi did it for us, and both of them can do it. They mostly do it at Hardwick, while the other two can go anywhere.
Okay.
Almost done. David Hayes, you probably know from the Hill City thing, but he's more like consultant type person for events and that sort of thing. Mark Drenick, we stay in touch with and Christopher Witzenberg, I said. Okay, so, we started by meeting, we have, really pretty unlimited use of Foothills for not only our meetings, but for teaching. We can use the different, we have small spaces there and large spaces. You all are familiar with Foothills? It's like, okay, so you know the atrium is, we could have 200 people. It's also, then there are all these smaller rooms. So we started by meeting there, figuring things out, and we started right away, hit the ground running, doing trainings. Then we had an event, which was, we called it a resource fair. It was all different organizations there, nothing commercial, no, we were not selling anything. It was all different community service organizations, particularly those that touch on alcohol and substance abuse. And we offered ongoing, every half hour, Narcan training throughout the day. That was at Foothills. And the reason I'm pointing this way is because Luke Murphy came. I'm pointing to Luke Murphy, in case you were wondering. So Luke Murphy was there, and David Risberger was there, right? You know, I'm pointing over there because that's where he used to sit. Okay.
Yes.
So they came, and Mark Drenick, and those guys were trained, as well as many, many other people. Then we continued with the education, and I'm trying to sort of get to different points here, but lo and behold, we were approached, do we want money? We had never asked for money, because everybody, how often does that happen, right? So we were told if we wanted, we could have 5 years of like $15,000 a year. That might diminish a little over the thing, and over the 5 years, and but that part wasn't sure, but we could get $15,000 right away. We were like, wait, what? And so we talked about what we would use this for. And different ideas were kicked around, like preschool through, all the way through education, which is preventive. There was a component of it that was supposed to be used for prevention. It's money that comes from the settlement, the opiate settlement with pharmaceutical companies.
Okay.
They're giving it, distributing it around to all kinds of organizations, and that's what we are. So Julie Dostal had found out about it and helped figure it all out. And it turned out that $15,000, what we chose to do with the money, because again, we were being creative. We could do theater projects, we could do all kinds of things,
Yeah.
which we might still do, but we all decided, we voted on it, we all agreed that the pressing need and the thing that was apropos was to spend the first year's $50,000 on 101 boxes, which go for just under $200 each, but this way we could give them for free. You're looking at me like, because I just told you there are 6 of them in this building, so yeah.
Wow.
Right, so.
Well, also, I'm just wondering, like, what
Yeah.
drives that
So,
cost?
well, the cost, I'm gonna show you the cost, and Sarah's
Yeah, I'm
gonna
excited to learn
demonstrate.
more.
The cost is not for Narcan. There are two packs of Narcan in here, which we don't pay for. So the
Mhm.
$200 does not even include the Narcan. By the way, just to digress for 1 second, when I
Sure.
said Elm Street, anybody can go there. It's a repurposed candy machine right at the end of Fordu. If you go down that little alley, you know where Fordu is? Does everybody know where that is?
Yes.
Okay, so you go down that little alleyway, and right on the left, there's a candy machine. And there's no camera on anybody, and there's no signing in. Anybody could just go anytime, and I go all the time, because I give it out pretty often. So like, I'll go and get like 5 or 6, and they
Get
say
some on the way
they're
home.
happy when people take it. Yeah, they're happy, because it's one of those things where they can keep ordering as long as it keeps being used. So it's
Okay.
a good thing.
Oh, good.
You know, like, keep using. So anyway, so you do it like you would for a candy bar, like C9 or D4. You know, there are different squares. And you do the number thing, and it clunks out, and that's it. There you are. So
Cool.
yeah, so the Narcan doesn't cost anything.
Maybe we should all
Reason
just
is-
take a little field trip over there.
What'd you say?
Maybe we should take a little field, just a nice day.
Exactly, do it,
Yeah.
So the reason why it costs a lot of money is because it comes from, what was it, where's, West Virginia or Virginia, it was either Virginia or West Virginia. And it's the research and everything, but it has this very cool thing inside, which we are gonna show you in a minute.
Okay.
So, anyway, when we got all of these, it came, 100 of them actually comes to $16,000, but we were lucky and got that amount covered. And so we got 100, and now we're getting more. They
Wow.
started coming, right? So it's an ongoing thing, and then what we did, once we actually had them in hand, and had the Narcan, which people filled very nicely, right? In here, there's the Narcan, there's also a card that has Sarah's contact number, because she's the one, that's what I was gonna say, I'll tell you another thing about her. From that money, she is also paid a part-time job for our team
Cool.
to be the person who coordinates specifically giving out the one boxes, going and checking if they're expired, replacing any that are expired or have been used or stolen or whatever,
Yeah.
explaining, going if anybody doesn't remember how to use it or something, like that's Sarah. So, and her card, there's a card with her name on it in here.
Okay.
So what I was saying though is that when we got them, we had a press conference, a wonderful
Yes.
press conference that was covered by many newspapers, radio stations, TV, everything. It was terrific press and great speeches and everything. And at that occasion, during the press conference, we gave these out to representatives of many parts of the community. Everything from like the VA to the city hall to, I mean, offhand, I can't think of everything, but churches and, you know, all different members of the community. Which has resulted in now starting to really normalize it so other businesses and organizations know about it, see it, and that sort of makes it okay. There is still some resistance. For example, the Y does not want to have it. They don't even want to hear the word Narcan. Or
Okay.
there are a couple of restaurants that are like, oh, those people don't come here. Like they need education, that there is no those people. You know what I mean? It's just people, right? Like people of every socioeconomic status suffer from addiction. So anyway, so I told you about press conference, and now the most recent thing, there are two things, a good thing and a bad thing.
Okay.
So the good thing is, with this normalization and destigmatizing, we've started bringing them now to places that are, like you might describe as high end.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, last week alone, I brought one to the Fenimore Museum and one for the Farmers Museum and two with Sarah to Otasaga.
Nice.
So you see what I'm saying? It's becoming like a normal thing to see anywhere, and then it saves lives and continues to educate. Just like when I take regular Narcan out of my pocketbook, I can see people going like, whoa, this lady with her lipstick and everything, and she carries Narcan. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I know that's what you call community health education. Like, I get it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
So,
You're
right.
not who they would expect. to
Right,
have that in
exactly.
their
So
purse,
without
right?
even a word, I'm
Yeah.
educating. Right, exactly. So that's the good thing. The bad thing is to do with Deet Street lofts. So what's happening is that we have been offering training and one box for months to Deet Street lofts because the entire community is aware that there have been overdoses there and multiple problems and that it's a highly charged situation.
Mhm.
So, the tenants are approaching me and saying, can we get Narcan training so we can save somebody's life if there's an overdose, right? And I'm like, yes, we're ready, we'll do it anytime you want, we'll come. We have the trainers, they have a community room at D Street Lofts, which has no furniture in it, so I asked Jeffrey Doyle of Foothills, I'm on the board of Foothills too, and I asked, can we borrow a chair, because he has like 400 chairs, and I said, can we borrow some chairs and a table? And he said, absolutely. Jeff says yes to everything. So, well, at least to me. So we not only have the trainer, we have the table, we have the chairs. He even said he'd transport them, you know. So like we are so ready to go. And I've been given the name of someone named Alicia in management. And I realize I'm saying this publicly, but I don't know what to do. So for months now, I have been calling Alicia, and I think she's stuck in between. She's not the highest level of management, and seems like somebody does not want it there, or does not want to hear about it, or does not want to publicize that there's an issue or something.
Mhm.
But different tone, like we're sending the police to make sure you get educated. Or maybe I would speak to someone, maybe Mark and Greg, about doing it in the parking lot or something. I don't know what else to do, but I'm not only bringing you this information about our whole history, but I'm also suggesting that as the community wellness, maybe there's some way you guys could send a memo or something to the owner or the board, or there's apparently a board.
Oh,
Because Alicia at one point said to me, I'll bring it up to the board meeting on Thursday.
Oh.
This was about a month and a half ago.
okay.
So it would be either the management or the board or the owner, Kearney or Carney, whichever way you say it, I'm sure you know that name. So, yeah, at this point, I'm going to have Sarah demonstrate the very, very cool thing that I told you about.
Okay. Can I ask a couple of follow-up questions?
Yes,
before we
let's do that first, because this is our grand finale.
Okay, cool. So, do you have anything that you wanna ask at this time?
No, I'm all in.
Okay,
You
I
know,
love it.
it's one of those things, I appreciate the presentation because I'm not gonna lie, even for me in the beginning, just not even knowing what Narcan meant. And I think it was, like you showed the first time
About the nose spray, yeah.
about the stuff on campus when I saw a flyer,
Flyer was the first time I started to actually just slow down and read and pay attention and detox.
And we talked, and
Yeah.
Lakeisha actually, the minute I met her, said, where could I get Narcan? And I said, follow my car, we're going right now.
Took me under wing right away.
Yeah, we just went. If anybody else wants me to do that, I'd be happy to lead that field trip. That would be fun. One other thing I want to say, this is
Yes.
important, I can't believe I almost forgot this. My vision has been from the beginning that in addition to addressing this need in Oneonta, that we could make Oneonta a role model, a model small city for the nation. By publishing this, by spreading the word, that the key, like with anything, is bringing people together. This is a coalition. It involves the academic community, the theater community, the substance abuse community, the city hall, all these different components doing it together. Because one person, some retired nurse who moved to town, isn't going to be able to do it, right? Although, so.
Sounds like a challenge.
Yeah, so here's what the newest great thing that happened. All along, because we're all busy and because we've been addressing, giving the trainings and the whole one box situation, we've been sort of documenting, but we hadn't really started on an organized way to spread that information and be that role model until this very, very cool thing happened at the last meeting, right? And I won't say the name, but one of the people on our team, am I right? This was an exciting moment. One of the people on our team who's herself in school studying for her master's, planning to get her PhD, said that she has to do a thesis, a project. It's more than a thesis, it's like a thesis project, and her final thing. And she said, is there any chance, she was sort of like asking me permission, she was like, is there any chance I could, it was afterwards when we were loading the one boxes into my car, she said, is there any chance I could do it like on this? And I was like, oh, over the moon. It was like, this could be the way we get to be the model city. It's such a win-win. She could have this fabulous project, thesis. We could help her in any way she wants to be available, have all kinds of, testaments to it. And, yeah, so that was kind of like meant to be. That was so perfect. So that's that.
Cool.
And now, did you have questions?
I do, yeah. So, well, and I guess maybe this is something that you wanna talk about after too, but I'm just thinking, if there's resistance to holding the training on site at Deed Street Lofts, like we had discussed doing a training here.
Yes,
And-
however, we also have those two other trainers who are kind of bound to teach on the Hartwick campus.
Okay,
So, but so the same issue would be there for either City Hall. I want to do City Hall anyway,
yeah.
but, for whoever you want, as many times as you want. But I'm just saying that the challenge is to get all the tenants from D Street to agree to go to City Hall at a certain time.
Right.
And as we've heard, those tenants are not necessarily all the most high-functioning, organized people. I'm sure some of them are,
Right,
but to say, come down the hall, we're doing this in 5 minutes in the community room
Right.
seems more realistic.
right, that's
So
fair.
even the parking lot right there.
Yeah, I was even thinking, cause you were saying about normalizing it and having it at the Otasago, sending them an invitation, to this.
That's
it may or may not work.
And how about this? I like your idea. How about if we give Mark 1 week?
Oh, yeah, of
I
course.
told him on the 27th.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. So that's next Saturday. What is today? Already Wednesday. So like
Today's the
a
first.
few more days.
Yeah,
And
I
I
mean,
sent an email today to the entire Narcan team, which includes, he's on the email list.
okay.
And it said, I'm waiting for a swift response from City Hall or the management.
Okay, good.
You know, that's one thing that's good about being older and retired, like, I can say it whatever I want, so, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But, so I said
Inspired to
swift,
that
so
level.
if
Yeah.
I don't hear from
Okay, I have one
So-
question.
Yeah.
Can a Narcan train? I know this sounds ridiculous, but I just want to make sure. Can a Narcan training be outside? Is it?
Yes, it just
Yeah.
cannot be in an individual home.
Okay.
And also, when we brought it up about having it for the New Life Church, because
Uh-huh.
we want to do it every place we can think of,
Yeah.
so, or that wants it. So New Life Church is within Foothills, and when I spoke to Reverend Shu,
Yeah.
Um, he at first was very much enthusiastic. He said we could do it right here on a Sunday after the service, we could put it up. And we started talking about having food trucks. We started, because he has a large congregation.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, but then what happened is when I mentioned it to Romas, who was then doing most of our training, Romas Bayoras, Roma said it cannot be in the sanctuary. It could be in the atrium. There must be something about that. I don't know what the
Okay.
religion thing. So that it could be in the atrium. And then after that, I haven't heard. I left a few messages
Oh, okay.
for
I'll
him.
push.
Could you
Yeah, I
push
have
that
a little.
Great.
And
You also had a question. You said you had an idea you were going to talk to me about.
oh, yes. So one thing I was gonna say is sort of following up on Bryce's thing, and this is not the thing that I was gonna say before.
Say both. Right.
Is that I'm pretty sure that the parking lot is just like a public space where
I
we
think
have
so.
free assembly. So
Right,
I
but
don't
I
think that
might
we
need
need.
like Greg to say it's okay with me, because remember when we did the welcome thing, he was kind of like, it's raining, you know, and I was like, no, we're gonna do it, and he was like, and so I don't know, I don't wanna,
Okay, I mean it's not like a place that we like rent out where you would need like a
I
permit.
think
I mean
it's
I think you could
probably-
just gather there.
Public space, you just can't block vehicle or
What'd you
pedestrian
say?
traffic.
wait, I didn't hear what you said.
It's a public space, you just can't block vehicle
Well, it
or
probably wouldn't be
pedestrian.
that many people, if we even get 5, it's good, we just
Right.
need even 2 in the building who know how to do it, right? I mean,
Yeah. The other
well,
thing,
the more the better.
You have a grassy area across the street.
yes,
You
that's
have
what I was gonna
Which
say.
area?
Fuller Plaza,
Um,
you have Newland Park, Wilbur Park, we have pavilions there.
Wait,
Yeah.
Naval Park is not that close, but there's that area like near, the Wilbur Mansion, that's not far, right?
Cano. Is that what you're talking about? The Cano?
Kano.
Oh, they say Cana? I've always said
Cana.
Cano. Probably because of
I
Robinson
like
Cano.
Kano, it sounds French.
But yeah, I was gonna say maybe Kano would allow it, or
Yeah.
Huntington Park, because I
Yeah.
had Narcan training at Huntington Library, so
Yeah.
I'm sure that they would
Yeah.
be. I
That
mean, I
was
can't speak
Romas.
for them, but
That would have been Romas who did that.
he did. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Romas.
yeah, I know
And
that.
yeah, that's just right across the street, so they might be willing to do that as well. So if you can't do the
So,
parking
okay,
lot,
so I'll
you
wait
might
till
have
the
some
end of
options.
this week with the Mark thing,
Yeah.
and then if that doesn't happen, we will do it
Yeah.
at any of those places. How about I talk to you?
Okay.
Because
I love
you'll
it.
be like our city liaison,
I would love to.
right?
Yeah,
Is that okay?
we got
I
it.
don't want to assume.
No, yeah, I would love to. Sure, and
Okay.
we'll make it
I
happen.
have you doing now like 7 different things, right?
Yeah. Yes. But the other thing I was
But
gonna
that's great. We
say.
can even use the Foothills chairs in a parking lot. I mean, not a parking lot to block, but I mean in a other space,
Yeah,
outdoors.
outdoor space.
We had them on D Street, so we could use them. Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
So the other thing I was gonna say that's kind of a segue is that having these around is good for the overall public safety of our community, because the other day I called about a noise complaint in my neighborhood. I called the police, and the dispatcher, actually it might not have even been a dispatcher that I spoke to, it might have been someone, a police officer, because they didn't identify themselves, or maybe they did. Anyway, I don't wanna say, because I think they have to, but
Whoever they were.
maybe I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, so whoever it was spoke to me and said, all my patrols are at an OD right now, and
Oh, that was the
so
Teams. That was like about 4 days ago?
yeah, it was that day.
I have pictures of it on my phone. People always send me movies and pictures and everything.
Yeah, so
Fire,
they
there was
said,
fire engine, there was this ambulance, yeah.
they said everything's tied up in an OD right now, and I'll
Yeah.
send them that way when they're done. And
So-
I was just thinking
So that
about-
was the most recent OD, right?
Yeah, and that was at the lofts, and
Correct.
it was just a few days ago, and
Yes,
thinking about if that person could have been treated acutely by someone, a lay person, you know,
You
that
still
all
wanna
of
call
those,
911 anyway, just like with CPR,
okay,
but they would have had the best possible chance of survival.
yeah,
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. You would think that many people involved here
Mhm.
would want to, what we say in nursing, cover themselves.
right,
But like, it's so stupid to be refusing this. I mean, we should all document all over the place that it's being refused, you know, or not, or it's being blocked, or
Right.
something's happening. But I like all of those ideas. The
Yeah.
library, Kano, the parking lot,
Yeah.
anything, just do, we have to do it. And
yeah,
probably
I know
more
there
than
are
once.
supporters around, right, so I think you could, cause you raise a good point about proximity, like knocking on someone's door and being like, hey, come outside, they're way more likely to do that than, hey, come to this thing on Tuesday,
That's
and they're
right.
like, okay, then they toss it.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
myself included, so if it doesn't go in my phone, I don't go.
So
Yeah.
which was your idea that you had said that you wanted to, that one? What was your idea?
Yeah, it was that thing where that had happened to me, and then we were talking about Narcan, and I was just thinking, you know, obviously they have to prioritize their, you know, their time and their efforts, but just thinking about, you know, the amount of response that is necessary every time this happens, and it's happening so
And so often
frequently in our community.
The same people
Right.
repeat.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
So if we can lessen that impact somehow,
exactly.
it's kind of an
Sarah made a good
all
point.
boats
Yeah,
rise.
I totally agree with you. Sarah made a good point also the other day, and correct me if I'm saying it wrong, that the police would appreciate it because they're so, we heard here not long ago how they need so many more police
Yeah.
officers and everything. Weren't you saying something about that, how?
They
would-
there's not enough.
Yeah, and there'd be less pressure on them if the community in general was all trained.
Right,
Yeah.
right, absolutely.
And to me, it's you know, just I've talked to Chief Witzenberg, but also like university police and things of that nature. It's hard for retention when you have a certain salary and you are, you know, a health counselor. You are, you know, dealing with mental health. You're dealing with this. You're dealing with violent calls. You're dealing with like basic things. It's almost like too much and
Yeah.
too straining. Where I'm not saying like Narcan's gonna solve that.
Right,
But it's just sometimes you just see, okay, sometimes wearing too many hats, that us as a
Yeah.
community can come together and work
Yeah.
together to help with those.
Yeah.
kind of ease
And
that.
plus, there's the bottom line, which is that there's a better chance of survival if the community is trained.
Right.
Like with the AEDs, with CPR. I've done CPR twice in public. Once was on an Amtrak train. Like, glad I was there. You know what I mean? Like, the more people who are trained, the better the outcome.
Right.
Yeah.
I promote it to my students all the time. I've
Would
had
you say?
several- I promote it to my students all the time. I've had several Narcan trainings so far,
Cool.
and the department is brand new. I just think it's important. you
Yeah,
know,
that's
To see
awesome.
that change and to show that people care.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I was
And
ready to be a part
And
of
they
it.
were all one family. It's not like other people. Right.
Right. yeah. So I was just gonna ask how many. This is my final question before you guys can go into your
Sure.
grand finale.
If it's how many overdose doses, that people have to know at the time, I refer that to
Oh,
Chris Witzenberg.
That was not gonna be my question. It was
Okay.
about how many one boxes have you placed in the community to date?
Well, that's
Do
a
you know?
good segue to Sarah. 'Cause
Okay.
you have I think you have the whole list.
I was wondering. You must have a spreadsheet or
Yes.
something.
We do,
Yeah.
we
do have a
we do.
spreadsheet. We
We
have.
could also give them at
Yeah.
some other point.
Oh, that'd be
Absolutely.
cool. Yeah, then we
I
would
can
know.
email that to you or whatnot.
Yeah. We
Um,
could even work on creating some kind of thing that sort of promotes like a little one box map or something like that so that
Oh,
people
that's a
know
great idea. I love that.
where to find it.
And,
Yeah.
we had, actually, me and one of my coworkers had talked about that, and also, even, organizations, stores, if they have a one box having something in their
Like a
window.
sticker.
you know,
Yeah.
One box here.
Like
Yes.
the AED has that often.
Yes,
Uh,
they do.
yeah.
Yeah. That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
So, but to answer your question in a general way, this is not exactly to the box, because like I only recently found out about the 6 here, I only knew about the first one that we gave at the press conference. So, but pretty much, out of the first 100, I have like around 9 left from the 13 that I picked up the other day. So
Yeah.
that's already like 91, right? I had
Yeah,
9.
so,
And now there are more,
right,
but if
so-
we don't count those, if we're talking about the first 100, that would be like 91 plus the 5 additional here makes it 96. So it's right around 100.
there's around 100, and then, our organization also has more boxes, so.
Yeah, but that's the new shipment.
Yeah.
What she said, she means believe has.
Yes.
Right, but
So-
that's not counting in the first 100.
Right, right. So some of those have also been placed.
Yeah,
So I wanna say right as of now, there's probably over 115.
Wow,
115, yeah.
that's
great.
amazing. Yeah, and there are some on campus too, or is it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah.
I have, organized with our Res Life team to try to get them to every dorm.
Nice.
So right now, I'm
Cool.
in like the mental health center and Res Life, and Mills, Diner Hall, places like that.
Cool.
So just trying to make sure the word is spread, and then, like I
Yeah.
said, I pass out Narcan all the time when I do a tabling, or one of my interns does a tabling, we have it on the table.
That's the one boxes, but we already had Narcan in every dorm.
Oh,
We had,
really?
we did, because, Alberto Cardea is a public health person before he became
Oh,
a
right.
college president, did
Right,
you know
right,
that? Yeah, he's a public
Forgot
health.
about that.
So he was with us all along. Darren Reesberg, who's now replaced by interim President Mullen, also was very helpful, but they didn't yet, when we started, they didn't yet have them in every dorm, well,
Okay.
so, but now it's the one boxes, that's fantastic.
Yeah, they're both now, so,
Cool.
yeah, I'm working on getting them in every dorm.
That's
So that's the
great.
next step.
Yeah.
Just, trying to find the funding and making sure it's set up right and that people will be able to check it, because she
Right.
wouldn't be responsible for those.
Right.
So we have to make sure that somebody will be able to go through and check them and make sure the Narcan is up to date, it's not expired, things like that.
Yeah.
So that's part of the plan and trying to get them in.
Cool. That's awesome.
Did you have more questions?
Nope, that was my final
Did you?
question.
No.
Can we do Sarah?
Training.
Yeah.
Do you? Yeah, Sarah's one.
Oh, Sarah's gonna be on paper tomorrow.
The box that this comes in, it comes with tabs, to place these on the wall.
Okay.
That's, most places are placing them underneath their first aid kits.
Okay.
Their AAD.
Makes sense.
And then they come with little,
Here, I have this.
zip ties.
Come in and strips it
Okay.
first, so if you don't wanna make a hole in the wall, and then it comes with these, which you were gonna,
Yes, so there's numbered zip ties,
Okay.
and it kind of locks it, so, if somebody walks by it and that's pulled, they know somebody used the Narcan out of it.
or
Um,
stole it, right?
Yeah, right, but anyhow, it needs to be replaced
Okay.
at that point. That's my card, that's usually the back, but it comes with 4 doses of Narcan,
Okay.
and it comes with a PPE kit if, first aid has to be given.
Oh,
First aid.
cool.
CPR has to be
Yeah.
given.
Do you all know what that is? It's like gloves, it's like, it has to do with personal
The
protection.
mask, yeah.
Okay. There's like something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, that's great.
And now, ta-da!
So then the first thing it says is call 911,
Okay.
so.
Get out of town.
That's
That's so
$200.
cool.
Step by step.
If somebody really is unresponsive.
1 minute, 60
you can
seconds.
by gently shaking them and shouting, or you can use your knuckles against the sternum to see if you get a reaction. If you find this person is
tiny bit of it can kill somebody, so, and
And it
another
is
thing I
here.
wanna tell you, another thing I wanna tell you is that we meet every, third Tuesday. If anybody ever wants to come, you're welcome, 1:00 at Foothills Atrium. But the one that's not May, but the June one, which is June 18th, the woman who's coming is from a statewide, program that helps train people like us who are community coalitions working on this, on addiction-related services. Anyway, her name is Julianne Thomas, and she's gonna be at the meeting updating us on things that are newer than fentanyl and xylazine, the newest drugs and synthetic substances. And I just recently learned that it's described as two different things, drugs and synthetic substances. But we're gonna learn that, so if you guys wanna learn about that, the more the merrier. It's at the atrium at Foothills, it's huge, so feel free to come. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I have one thing to add.
Yes.
Thank you, Sarah. I do have something to add. I was like torn about whether or not to mention this. But just like I asked you if you can think of any help with the D Street thing, there's another thing, which is obviously a big can of worms, so I'm only gonna mention it, we can talk about it some other time. That no matter how many lives we save, as long as dealers are coming in and bringing drugs onto campuses and around Oneonta, it's not gonna just go away. There's the dealer issue. So there are many people I'm coming across during this initiative who say, oh yeah, my mom knows who all the dealers are, or my cousin, oh, I could tell you the person down there. It's like, I personally was sitting outside of Green Earth and on the deck, because I go to the Green Earth community thing. I might have told you this. I was sitting on the deck with my friend Wendy Hunt, if some of you may know her, and we were just chatting, trying to support Green Earth by showing passing by cars that there's a cafe. We're sitting at this cafe when I, having come from Manhattan, went, oh, wait a second, that's a drug deal happening right there. Right in front of me, between me and the police station, there was a drug deal happening. That apparently is a major street drug thoroughfare. Everybody seems to know this. I was like, whoa, I just saw that happen, you know what I'm saying? And like, if people know about it, maybe I could be saying to you as community wellness, I go to the common council meetings, as you know, I'm the person who's always there, not just when there are 50 people there, I'm the one sitting there. And like, but it doesn't seem like that's the moment for me to stand up and say, could you please do something about the drug traffic? But you're the community wellness, this is a major issue. So as a citizen, I would turn to you and say, perhaps you could set something up where community members could give you tips anonymously, or some other strategy that you all could brainstorm, because until we stop the drugs coming in, we're gonna run out of Narcan, you know what I'm saying?
It's,
You wanna speak on it?
I was just gonna say, I think unfortunately, it's gonna be really hard to stop.
It is hard, life is hard.
Because, I don't wanna sound like terrible saying this, but, you know, you take down one dealer and there's always another behind them.
Yeah, but you don't give up.
No. And, you know, I was gonna say too is, there's the police tip line. They can call and report anonymously.
If it's not happening, they are short-staffed, I totally understand.
And, I know that they have, you know, lists that, you know, have
Suspect.
suspected dealers. But of course, they're not gonna diverge their lists because, you know, they're investigating. So I think that's gonna be unfortunately really hard.
That's okay.
But, you know, but I get what you're saying too, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like when I saw that, I mean, was that
And it
my
is, it's
moment to
all-
go make a citizen's arrest? They'd be like, what is this lady
Well, you
running
never
at
know.
us
You
for?
never know.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not exactly the one, I don't think that it would be safe for me personally.
No.
Like, I'd be willing to sit on that deck like day after day, but I don't think that's the way, I think I would just get, you know, put myself at risk.
Oh,
So I think there needs to be something.
Yeah, so I actually don't know much about the tip line. Do you know what number
So,
you call, or?
The tip line, we have not really been using the phone-based system lately. It doesn't afford the level of anonymity, there we go, anonymity, words are hard, that people were looking for. But we have an online-based system through Nexel.
Okay.
And it can receive tips from anonymous sources. You put as much or as little information in there as you like.
But does somebody check it every day, or what's the
The
process?
officers, there are specific individuals within the police department that are notified as soon as a tip is received.
Oh, that's cool.
So they
is not happening. I'm not saying they're not doing
I
it,
don't know that
maybe
it's
you're not
something
getting
that's
enough
not
tips on it.
Right, we
but-
just don't know about it.
Right.
Yeah, you don't necessarily, there's a lot
Right.
that happens that we
It's
don't know
very
about when it
catch-all.
comes to the investigative process,
Right,
unfortunately.
100%.
Right, right, I don't have the solution, I just have the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know New York State Police has a tip line as well as, Otsego County Sheriff's Department too. Yeah, the
Cool.
tip lines.
I think, Kevin, I think the best thing that I do love about that is, like, similar to Narcan, there can be more information sessions because it's so hard to have everything in one place. So having more of that conversation of like, how could you help with this, or even spreading education. So
Great, I love that.
even spreading education so that people know, I don't know, through the grapevine, they know that, okay, yes, you're trying to make a living, but do you even know what you're selling, that you're actually
Right,
doing?
and the dangers of it.
Like
And the
what's-
fact that fentanyl is hidden now in so many products. You all know that, in over-the-counter products, in other drugs.
Also, yeah,
You-
like-
you didn't know about silencing, and you're an
I didn't know it
educated
existed.
professional. Right, like, lots of people don't
Right.
know.
And,
Right.
you know, with that being said too, some people, there may be people that are uneducated about the tip line, so maybe.
I didn't know about it.
Right, so
Right.
Till
maybe
this
even,
minute.
you know,
And you're
something.
involved.
And I'm right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Something made up on board, you know,
Totally.
you know, a suspected drug dealer, report it and with, you know, a list of
This
tip
is
lines.
very worthwhile conversation, I
A
think.
website that has all this information, that you can go and view everything that
Yeah, we
everyone's
don't.
talking about.
But that's a good idea. I mean,
Yeah.
I think in general, community education is huge because people see these things, you know, as you did, and they say, I want to do something about it, and they don't know what it is. So if we can figure out what
Right.
community involvement looks
And-
like,
right.
and then educate
Exactly, and it should
on
include
that.
things online, because
Yeah.
the college campus, the students, I know this from the other things, you know, and just from being a mom, that like, they don't know about paper and pencil, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, everything's like social media and everything.
Yeah.
So it needs to
Well,
go
that's
that way.
yeah. To your point, like maybe it could be text or online or something like that.
Both, yeah.
Both. Yeah, it can be all.
Yeah,
Because there are people who see it who don't do that stuff.
So
you know?
can we
They-
sort of
they
turn
need
this
somebody
over
to-
to you? Can we, like you didn't have enough to do?
No, this, I mean, this
Yeah, I
is,
think that's a
It's
way.
it's urgent, it's
Oh,
urgent.
It's
Yeah.
a practical way that we can get involved, I think, is to figure out how we can involve the community in kind of promoting its own welfare, you know? So I think that's great.
cause it's always tough, but like, it's nice, wellness committee and council, like having a great relationship, like with Chief Witzenberg and officers to talk about that, but that does get a tough subject because a lot of that could be confidential with like how that stuff's going, but what we can control
It's
as
a very
council.
delicate subject, there's so many reasons, even like tips, like people don't wanna give a tip about their own family member who
Right.
might be selling drugs, or they might be just, you know, worried that their own spouse might be an addict who's buying from somebody or whatever, you know, and then police even feel like maybe you're criticizing them and saying that they're ignoring it. Like when I say that part about, I saw it and it was right between me and the police station and they're like police crossing the street, which is true, there's one police officer, you know, like, I'm not blaming him, I'm just saying there's a problem.
Yeah,
You know, but I think that if you say it, you know, we talked a little bit about this the other day, right, about them having, to sort of limit in some ways the amount they take on.
Yeah,
because- we talked about
prioritize.
that.
Yep. Yeah,
So
for
it's
sure.
related to that too.
Yep.
and we can let, me and Katie can let, the community police board, Ari Coppin and Greg Fulkerson
Yeah.
and some of the, I know there's some new committee members.
We should
That's what I
partner
was
with
on
them.
before council.
Oh, so you
And
really
just-
are a good one to get involved
and
in because
just-
you know the people.
We
Yeah.
should
Yeah,
partner
it's
with
just a
them.
nice initiative. It's like a task force, but it's like those were the types of things we were talking about in the first meetings.
Yeah.
With the creation of, we noticed that this task force was created. A lot of it was due to the reform plan and everything after George Floyd, but a lot of it was just due to the education piece. There was a lot of people in our community. I don't have numbers. I'm just saying there's always a minority or a small percentage of community members that, due to past experiences or just culture or TV, whatever, don't want to go to Chief Witzenberg or police officers
Mhm.
and do that process. They want to talk to community members that will listen to them, and then it's
But
a
those
warm,
people.
and then
yeah.
it's a warm hand.
Oh, I get it. The
What's that
police
one
mean
name?
many totally get it.
So that's
It's
why
like
I'm
the
excited.
main, right,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I'm excited is just as a former teacher and a college educator is the education piece, because a lot of this also has to do with the consumer and the buyer. Like if we're not educating ourselves and we want to buy drugs, right? That's on us to also understand what's going on, and as if the city of Oneonta, if we prioritize educating that might save someone from being like, oh, I want to have a good time, like I'm curious about this,
Yeah.
and save
Or
their
or
life.
even from selling, from becoming a dealer, some teenager who doesn't know that it could kill somebody, who doesn't
Right.
really get it.
Right.
Figures, well, why would I go babysitting or walking dogs if I can make this money?
Right.
Because I know this is public, so sorry, but like that's the sad part. I've been here in Oneonta forever. A lot of times it's not, it's someone not from Oneonta who's connecting with someone who needs money,
Mhm.
and the seller becomes someone vulnerable.
That's
who
right,
needs
that's
money.
exactly, that has to be
Peddling
looked at,
drugs,
has to be
yeah.
looked at.
But the evil mind to it is coming from a different part
Somewhere
of the
else.
state.
They might not even be here, you know?
That's right.
So that's
Well,
what
it has
that's
to
what
come from
hurts. you know.
somewhere, exactly, and like we
Yeah.
all know, we hear about like all border problems with drugs and all kinds of other things. But like, for this community, let's address the dealers too, that's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and if I can be of any help and my team can be of any help,
Yeah.
we're available. You know, like for me, it's easy because I'm not, as I said, I'm not working for anyone, I don't even have teenagers to embarrass, I can be loud and,
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm excited. Yeah, this is exciting.
My favorite thing to do.
Yeah, I think
Those
we
of you
can
who are
talk
teenagers
with
get my
Luke about with everybody,
Yeah.
just some strategies
Yeah,
And
I
stuff.
love that.
of just hitting all areas. Like it hurts my soul, but starting from middle school to high school.
Oh, even before, I was for more than 20 years, I was an elementary school nurse teacher in Kingston, there were kids who were drug running. We had workshops, ask me anything about the Bloods and the Crips, I am like an expert on the gangs and the graffiti and what they mean, and part of it was about drugs. And they would come in, the gang members would come from the city from New York City, excuse me, I'm from New York City, so I say the city, but they would come from New York City to Kingston and hook up with some women who had children and live there for a while, setting up all drug things and leaving. And those kids had little brown paper bags and stuff, and they didn't know, they were like, drop this off, Yeah, so it's even before middle school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's happening in our high schools. I mean, I can name some of the kids that I know are dealing in large quantities. It's really terrible.
Yeah. Well, that's a really great kind of follow-up point. It's like, I know that you had mentioned that your sort of initial goal for the funding was to secure the 1 boxes, but you had mentioned considering some education.
Mhm.
Is that still something that the group
Sure,
is
I am a
considering?
school nurse teacher, and I've taught sensitive subjects like safe touch. I invented a whole puppet show. I didn't totally invent it. There had been somebody who had thought of having a puppet show, but I'm like a theater person, so like that was like great, and it was a very approachable way to do young kids, especially to teach them, because it's a little threatening to come in and say, start a whole thing about safe touch, and then it's usually somebody you know, and somebody that could even be one of your parents, and like it's all this scary stuff. But when the puppets are shaking, it's like makes it like, oh, here comes the nurse with the puppets, yay, and then like pretty soon they're practicing yelling no, and getting it. So,
I can just imagine like a class of
oh,
preschoolers.
it's very loud. That's right. It was a very loud class. Like, what did you say? I didn't hear you. Like, you can
That's
imagine.
terrible.
But the point is, I see how effective education is on sensitive subjects with kids. I had Child Protective Services tell me, and I had them on speed dial on my public school nurse phone on my desk. Speed dial to Child Protective. That's how often, like every day, people were disclosing. But they asked me if I could do the public show early in the morning so they'd have time to get there. Are you going?
Bye,
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you for coming. That was awesome.
And any questions, anything?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I might have some, but I'll, let everything marinate.
So, I'm gonna give this one, did Lauren leave? I was gonna give it maybe
Oh,
Lauren.
she's just getting a quote, I think.
Oh, she's coming back. Isn't that her stuff?
Yeah, she'll come back.
Cause you have it here, you have it at SUNY, so, you certainly have it there, so I'll see if Lauren wants this one. So, yeah.
But I think that
education
might-
is important. We could also
Yeah,
do
be a
both.
good
We could use
follow-up.
some of the money on 1 boxes and do some education. I don't mean mean necessarily me personally, because I'm learning how to, like, teach younger people to do things and get them, you know.
Yeah,
to
cool.
that.
I mean, I think to Bryce's point, as someone who grew up here, and I know one of the early missions of this commission is focusing on the mental health specifically of young folks, but I think just addressing vulnerability that is inherent in growing up in our community in that way, you know, would be really cycle breaking. And that's one of the things I know in terms of strategy with Chief Witzenberg. Cycle breaking is really important, you know, making sure that our next generation of kids grow up confident and, you know, unable to be taken advantage of in any number of ways. So,
Lauren, I'll give you this information.
I love that idea, about getting in and talking to the schools, like, you know, like Sarah was saying, it's, by the time they're in high school, a lot of these ideas have already been formed, right? So that's very interesting
We're
to me.
actually incorporating that into, I'm in leadership of SEGO class,
Oh, cool.
and so the end of the class, we have a project that we have to do, so we did mental health, but in elementary, middle, and up to high school.
I love it.
So I actually incorporated in some of those things that you were talking about into our project, which actually probably might be used. So we do these different projects so they can pretty much present what can be done
Yeah.
for mental health and classes and doing something like we used to have something like DARE.
Yeah.
Yeah, there.
I had Dare.
Oh.
Yeah,
When the police officers.
right, the kind,
Yeah.
when modernize it.
Yeah, modernize,
Yeah.
You know.
This is
All
great.
all
I'm
good,
trying.
just we need
Yeah,
some
no, I mean,
updates.
I'm familiar with it.
Just change the name. but
So-
cool idea.
Yeah. So, are you, how are you connecting that project with the schools?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we're coming up with now, so
Okay.
what kind of classes we can use, who can we go in and get them to talk to? So part of it was seeing how many like psychologists or psychiatrists that Bassett and Fox had.
Mm-hmm.
Or was it USS or
UHS.
UHS?
Yeah, they're not in
right?
our community anymore, is that right?
No, they don't
Yeah.
have an office here anymore, it was one, but so I had to call a different office to get information,
Um,
but different places like that.
Yeah, I wonder even like, so this is something that I was gonna bring up under kind of old businessy stuff and maybe only means anything to Luke, but we had held a meeting, a conference of sorts on children's mental health, and we had brought together some stakeholders, and I just wanted to share an update on that we have just gotten some confirmation from the assistant superintendent that they're gonna be prioritizing some of the social work, mental health resources at the district down into the elementary schools, which I think is really awesome. And so that might be something too, connecting with like the school social workers as well to maybe,
Yeah, that's one of those, yeah.
and actually I might try to connect you with the assistant superintendent because there's a conference day coming up and they were looking for presenters.
Okay.
So that might be a good topic for like,
Yeah,
for one of
then
those.
we put it together, we can
Yeah.
send it wherever
That'd be
at that
cool.
point.
That'd
I
be
can
really
make some
cool.
card outside.
Oh, yes, please.
Well, you
Thank
mentioned the superintendent of schools you're talking about,
Yeah,
because I met him at Rotary and I brought up Narcan,
Mhm.
just because I bring up
'Cause you do,
I bring
yeah.
up Narcan and everything. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, I still have to talk to him, but so if either of you wants to give that a reminder, because I brought it up in terms of wanting to have Narcan in every school nurse's office in the, emergency situation, whether it's the one box or even just a thing of Narcan.
yeah.
So like if that can be brought into it, feel free.
Okay, sounds good, sounds good.
That actually just reminds me of one
Yes,
thing to
please.
throw out there, but Bassett has recently had some pretty significant success in hiring some psychiatrists and psychiatry specialty RNs, and we are accepting new patients for telepsychiatry at this time.
This is wonderful news. Yay!
I was on the wait list myself, and then
Yeah.
one day I got a phone call, and they were like, "Do you still want your psychiatry appointment?" And I was like, "The one that I asked for 2 years ago."
Nice. Oh, that's
Never too
really
late.
That's true for that.
Never too late.
Always could use
So,
that.
yes, that is a resource, and one we're trying to grow, so.
Cool. That's really great news. Thanks for sharing. I'm definitely gonna share that in the committee report as well, because I want everybody to know, like, call Bassett, and then there won't be any appointments anymore, but that's okay. So more people will have appointments, so, yeah, it'll be good. So Bryce, for us, I see bringing back to our committee next month, and the work in between, right, is communicating with, trying to establish, you know, obviously the people who come to mind are the police department, the fire department, but, what is the best way for the community to get involved, in supporting what I would call broadly community wellness, but, you know, addressing things like when they see something, how do they say something, you know?
Yeah.
What's the best way for the community to get involved? And then, you know, if it's the tip line or something else, we need to make sure that it's usable in multi-formats, and then also promote it and educate people.
Could there be posters
Yeah,
around
I think
town?
something to bring up at council, and I know
It's a very busy time, but I
Yeah.
think because wellness is a really big thing right now and being
Huge.
involved, I think we could talk to the group about a town
Yeah.
hall eventually at some point.
that would be so cool.
Don't you have a committee report section at the?
We do.
So you could do it there.
I will.
with the-
Oh, yeah, no, I was just thinking like, you know, city hall's a little small, but like eventually.
Oh, right. No, but I
Yeah.
mean, in terms of just bringing it up to, county council.
Oh,
you
yeah,
have a
yeah.
section that's committee reports.
Yeah.
I know, because I'm always sitting here.
Yeah, bringing up in committee reports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause
I
I'm just
like the
interested, I'm
idea.
just interested to see, like, if you get a big enough space and get a month or two to advertise, how many people would show up.
You get trainings, like stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's a great idea.
But I think in the slow time, cause time goes so fast and then things go crazy.
yeah,
I think that us as a committee, can start identifying like stakeholders. And we already have during this meeting, but I
Yeah.
think starting small. I can definitely do the high school for sure because I have to talk to the principal anyway.
okay,
Because we're planning a program in the fall.
okay,
So I can just kind of mesh it all
Cool.
together.
I love
And
it.
what we're finding out was we've done a couple things with the high school. My brother did in the past when he was a senior. But last year we had a coalition group at the high school that was created that was like on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we had a field trip of those students. We had them come to our multicultural center and get experience to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And a lot of students were like, wait, I lived in Oneonta, I didn't know City
Yeah.
of Oneonta or Hardwick had these types of safe spaces. And I said, it's open to the community, so you can come hang out here and come to
Yeah, people
events
don't
here.
know,
And
right?
students don't even know it's in their backyard. Some
Right.
students, because it's a PWI area, a lot of students don't know what
Sorry.
that looks like.
What's
you know.
PWI?
A predominantly white
Oh,
institution,
yes.
or PWA, sorry, predominantly white area. So
Okay.
a lot of students of diverse populations don't know, like when they're looking for colleges, like what will be their safe space, or,
Yeah.
or that there's more out there. So sometimes they have a negative stigma of Oneonta, but when they come to college campus, it changes. 'Cause they
It's
say,
totally
there's
different.
a lot going on, and there's a lot of support and things.
Mhm.
Bottom line, what we're trying to develop, and I'll talk to Lakeisha about it, get everybody involved. I was just trying to start small with some like testing, is through the program that I work for, Access Opportunity Programs, through our mentor program that we have. We have upperclassmen and our mentors, and a program called Kings of Excellence, men and women career excellence support group that's focused on career excellence and academic excellence. Having these students actually go into the high school and middle school and talk about safe choices and talk about what
Sweet.
excellence looks like and give a different perspective.
So cool.
Because sometimes in Oneonta, I'm always real in meetings, so I just have to be in Oneonta. I grew up here, like, I was lucky to have parents who worked, and my mom was a teacher, so I was like always in the middle. But like, it's a weird place. Like, there's a lot of really smart kids. Like, we have the hospitals, we have professors, kids, we have staff. A lot of really smart kids and smart families. So there's a lot of kids that like maybe struggle economically, or they just have like different backgrounds where they get caught up in the dust at
Yeah.
because like even though there's a lot of support, like they just lose confidence.
Vulnerable.
'Cause
They're
like,
intimidated, yeah.
yeah, they even with me sometimes, like I had a lot of friends who were really just I just kind of settled. I was like, oh, I'm an athlete, like I'm just gonna settle.
Mhm.
So we're trying to create these programs because we have a lot of amazing students that are doing amazing things that have come from many different types of backgrounds that might be able to get to some of the students and show them, okay, like let's think about like, okay, you might be a 72 GPA student. Did you know you can get into 20 SUNY schools right now and a couple, a bunch of private schools or a community college, and there's these types of majors. Oh, you don't want to go to college? That's fine. Like, look at all these trade options, programs that you can apply to make a decent amount of money, or a lot of trades make more than college education now because it's
Yeah.
needed. So just trying to give students an outlet so that they're safe and they want to achieve excellence and they want to achieve something, instead of getting caught up in saying, oh, well, school's not for me. And then they get with a mentor, they get into the drug game, they get into, just committing petty crimes, just like,
And then one thing leads to another, one
Right.
thing leads to another, yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's more
it's-
like choice, more like command over the choices than just like settling for whatever happens and making
Yeah,
the best of
yeah.
it. So that's awesome.
because a lot of students.
That's what you
yeah.
were saying about confidence and, self-esteem and,
And I'm only
Yeah.
speaking on one area, but this is why we created this. We had a lot of families come to us personally, and students from diverse backgrounds come up to us and be like, I'm trying to respect my teacher and my staff, but like they don't look like me. So I don't really feel like this is genuine, even if they're trying, right? So sometimes when you bring in students or adults that might look like you or like have these certain things, you never know, it could bring that background. And when I say diverse, I'm even talking economically. Someone might see a teacher or a principal and be like, oh, you make money, like, how can I respect you? We're struggling at home. How can I, like, you don't really mean that. We help students like that all the time. They're like, oh, you don't really mean that I'm an awesome person. It's like, no, you are. You're amazing. I do that with my own students, giving those affirmations of self-love. Like, no, you're awesome. You can do it. So I won't go on a preach thing, but I really think, and this is why I want to do local stuff, is really help create these ideas together as a team into like implementations.
that's great.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to give the background just for everyone in the room, like even in a little small onset, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's a lot to handle. It's like a
For
lot.
sure.
And
And
I
it
can't
has to be
imagine.
like multifaceted, there's so many different ways to approach it. It's a lot.
Yeah, so I think this is amazing conversation. Like,
It's been really good. Thank you both so much for coming, Caitlin as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
I'm gonna get going if that's
Okay.
okay.
Yes. Yes.
I will.
Thank you so
I
much.
was just trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to ask, but
Yeah.
I don't think so.
If you
I
think of anything else, I'll turn around and come back.
Okay, sounds good. And I think too, when you were talking about stakeholders, you had mentioned the community police board as well. And
Yes,
so
yes.
I want to make sure that we connect with them too. And since you have a connection, I don't want to assign you work, but if you wouldn't mind,
No, absolutely.
just with regard to like we were talking about, community involvement, and what does that look like, and how can we connect the community to, actually addressing some of the concerns that they have or things they may be seeing. And I love the idea of a town hall. So, before you guys leave, we were talking about having a training, like a Narcan training, either at this meeting or at a council meeting in the future. So I'll just connect with you about that, and then we can do some promotion around that to try to get some people here for some Narcan training. Is that cool?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Yeah, let me write it down.
And then I'll get you part next time.
Let me write it down. That's okay. Okay, I'm ready. I'm typing. I don't know why I didn't do that. Okay.
Oh, Keisha, I'll send it to.
Okay, you got me?
Yeah, I got
Okay, cool.
you.
Thank
You got me, usually I got you.
All right. Nice to
Got a
meet
question,
you.
huh?
Bye. Cool. So tobacco-free communities. Do we feel complete on the Narcan initiative? Since
Yeah, no,
our
I just
representatives
really,
left.
it was really awesome. So I felt we went like a little deep, but I just felt like it was good.
Yeah, it was really good.
Hash out.
I love, yeah, I like committee meetings where there's like conversation. It's not just
Yeah.
like, okay. So that was awesome. Okay, and I like the idea of doing a training, but then also, like, if we're gonna dig into this, sort of like, you know, getting the community involved in helping to deal with our addiction issues, the idea of hosting a town hall and figuring out what the education looks like and promoting it, like, that's a big job. It's a
I
big
think
job.
we need to somehow get like a team, like even if it's a task force or something. I don't know how we do that. 'Cause
Subcommittee situation.
I don't know. It's because it's like we have it, like we have Parks and Rec, like we have it, but it's just like how do we like mesh it to like a huge coalition of just.
Yeah, well, we
awesome
could work with, like, the community police board, us, the Narcan team.
Right,
to
right,
put
kind of like
together-
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can use this time as like working meetings, like, that's what that felt like to me, was like, we were just like brainstorming of like, what can we do next, you know, so that's really good. So yeah, so let's continue to work toward that, and maybe
And what I loved
work on
about
hosting a
it-
town hall
oh, so
maybe in the
sorry.
fall. No, that's okay.
No, I was just saying, what I realized I like the working meeting idea is how things change year to year. Like that was scary to me getting that presentation because it was like, wait, there's like, you know, and Caitlin had a Bassett, same thing. It's like seeing like that we have to like have these strips to like
Oh, yeah.
for fentanyl and all these things like.
The xylazine too, like that causes your skin to rot and fall off. So we're seeing an increase in.
No,
Yeah.
right? And that's such an interesting thing to turn it back onto, right? Is like the effect that it has on the healthcare system
Yeah.
and how you're treating these different symptoms from this, you know, yeah.
Like I might be ignorant, but that definitely feel like there's been a huge change the last 10 to 5 years of how like
Yeah,
Yeah, fentanyl's taken over completely.
yeah.
yeah.
And if I can say off the record, just a little bit of personal opinion,
Everything
but,
is recorded in public, just so you're aware.
okay. Just saying as a person, not as a Bassett representative,
Yes.
that one thing that we've seen with the opioid pushback for prescription opioids for people that are chronic pain patients, and it oftentimes pushes people who are feeling that they don't have adequate access to pain control into illegal street
Right.
substances. And I think that
Right.
there is a lot of alignment if you look at the timeline of where you see we're taking access away from the people that we can take access away from, the people who are using it legally.
Right.
And then you start seeing an uptick in
The
people.
spike.
Yeah. But again, that's just my personal experience and opinion.
Yeah.
Um,
They do not represent your employer.
yes, exactly. And they can point that out.
Yeah. Well, it's like you were saying, it's like there's, even in our little community, the problem is so sort of tightly knotted, you know, that beginning to unravel it is very hard, cause even like thinking about, you know, some of the things that this committee began working on, before you were even on council, right, was children's mental health, which leads into the vulnerability piece, but also has to do with like home life and socioeconomic status, and that may have to do with, you know, what their parents are up to, food insecurity as well, you know, so it's like really, I think that, just to kind of bring it back to the, like what Chief Witzenberg is working on, and I think that we only will make progress if we're all sort of staying focused on the same course, is that cycle breaking, you know, and making sure that kids feel like they have a choice. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with the environment that we create in our community. Ooh, I'm a segue machine right now, because I was just gonna say that a lot of that has to do with the environment that we create in our community, and one of the spaces where I have been kind of outspoken on that is the fact that, like, so from the time we grew up here, there was one cigar shop on Main Street, and there were gas stations that sold cigarettes, and that's it. And now, like everywhere you turn, there are smoke shops, and kids are growing up thinking that that's like a normal thing because it is a normal thing. They're everywhere, and so just broadly saying that what we normalize in our community is, you know, is what people will grow up with and is what they will expect, is what they will settle for unless we're able to influence them otherwise through positive interventions like the one that you're planning and other things. But agenda item D, which we're gonna table, is a partnership that I've started with Jennifer Hill from Tobacco Free Communities with regard to creating a less tobacco friendly environment in our community. And she sent me a ton of resources. It's something I'm also talking about in legislative committee because there are some legislative things that we can do. I would like to bring that to the next meeting, but I'm gonna forward all the resources, and I'm really gonna do it to Carrie, who can distribute them to the committee ahead of our next meeting, so that we can begin to talk about tobacco-free communities. And I will also invite Jennifer Hill as a representative of that, and I hope you can make it as well, because it's so interesting to hear the tie-in of the impact that that has on our largest, if not only, healthcare provider in the area. So that's amazing, and I so appreciate you coming and offering that perspective to us.
I just so wish that there were less hurdles to, and I understand why that they exist, to bringing the school-based health initiative that, you know, kind of mentioned
Yeah.
last time. Actually, since that last meeting, I've learned that Cornell University is partnering with Bassett through an NIH grant to actually study the impact of these school-based health programs as an intervention on rural youth, and like
So
what that's gonna
cool.
like do for their adult lives.
Yeah.
And again, you know, that's primary care, it's mental health care, dental care, it's opportunities to get this intervention in front of them. You know, it's just unfortunately it's a big financial lift. You
Right.
know, and it's something that I'd love to see one day be possible.
Someday.
But
So how does this study work if they're not able to implement it? Well, here at least. I mean,
well,
I don't.
they're studying it. We have 22 individual school-based centers over 18 districts.
Oh.
So
Okay.
they're getting a good sample size.
That's awesome. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that.
Yep.
Cool.
It's just primarily in school districts where it's a single building or two
Oh,
buildings in
okay.
a district. Like we just opened one in Cherry Valley.
Cool.
We're looking at Unatico next. So.
That will be awesome. I mean, I said this already once in this committee, but today in this meeting, but like, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats, right? So if it's helping people in a neighboring community, it will help our community too. So that's great.
And I mean, if Cornell and NIH think that there's something there, you know, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Cool.
One day.
Yeah.
Baby steps.
Yeah. All right. Well, first Wednesday of the month of June at 6 p.m. we'll be here. I don't know what that date is, but do you have something?
I
Yes.
forgot to email to you for next meeting. I'll just talk to you and Carrie.
The 5th, June 5th. Yes.
It's kind of a wellness / parks and
You have
rec.
an agenda thing? Yes. Let's do it.
Job Corps, Elizabeth Speller.
The
is-
chess thing?
So I'll talk about
Okay.
it.
Sorry.
So there's I'm helping with like paperwork. I'll figure that stuff out. But we had 2 or 3 great meetings. I've known, I say Elizabeth, I'll say Mrs. Speller forever, for my whole life, and you know, it's been a great, you know, support for me. But we've had some great conversations. I didn't realize it was going on in the community because it was like, it's kind of like, you know, slowly private, but getting out there. But Job Corps has partnered with Capressa on Main Street, and they actually do, I think it's Wednesday or Thursday, sorry if every other, they do chess, like play, like programming, with like Job Corps students are teaching Hartwick students right now at Capressa. They've been meeting and playing chess.
I love that.
similar to one of my good friends, Cam, who's doing Blenderama, and stuff, wants to kind of, potentially this summer or this fall do like something slow, but like a first ever like chess play. It's not even like a full tournament, but just like come play chess, all ages, and Job Corps will partner. So like I have like some dates. So Carrie, I'll just work with you like on the paperwork to help Mrs. Speller, but just wanted to kind of just get it on our radar to
Yeah.
figure out. I always get confused because I know like Earth Day, right? Like Earth Day was created by the SUNY Oneonta group, but I know like the city of Oneonta kind of like sponsored it.
Yeah.
If that's the right
Well,
term.
Kind of. So Morgan was the main driver behind it. My understanding is that it was primarily in her role with us that we were able to get her
right.
so it was.
Because she's an intern
Yeah.
here.
Was it the same? I'm just trying to ask all these questions. I just
Sure.
want to help. I'm just helping.
Yeah.
We're talking, and I feel bad because I was like, I don't know. Let me ask.
Yeah.
When she asked the city, was it the same process of like filling out the paperwork and paying the fee, or was it?
So it was a city event, so no.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so that was done through the city, it was our event.
You know what I'm
Okay.
wondering though is Mark had said that thing about I just got your text about Liz. Hope this counts. Okay. All right. So Mark had said that thing about on Saturdays after the farmers market that there would be kind of like dead air in the Deed Street closure, and that might be cool, like a Saturday afternoon.
I'll
thing.
email. Like there were some dates like we discussed. I just.
Yeah, that would be so cool. I would totally come if there were like a bunch of chessboards set up. I mean, I'm no
Well,
good,
maybe
but
next meeting.
yeah,
We can invite Mrs. Speller.
I would love that.
Just
To
chat
come
real
here?
Quick.
To community wellness
Yeah.
on the 5th. Yeah.
Well, just because I'm just worried because we're chatting like, and then time happens like, because it's so fast. I
Mhm.
was like, if we can pull this off in the summer or fall, I want to try to secure a date.
Yeah.
It's not complicated, but it's just like it's Job Corps, but it's also like if the city's for it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
could
I
we
don't know.
sponsor it? And by that, I mean just not charge a vendor fee. I mean, we don't have a fee structure for the Deed Street, so it pretty much would be free,
We closed it.
right? Yeah, I
I'm
think
s-
we could. Yeah, I would actually probably have her come to Parks and Rec, which is next week, right? Parks and Rec is
Parks and
Monday?
Rec would be the first Monday of the month, yeah, but they would have no control over Deed Street.
Oh, right.
They have no authority
Okay.
there.
All right.
But maybe I'll just message Mark.
Let's touch base on dates.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can pull up a tentative. Right?
Yeah.
We
well,
should adjourn.